folks, welcome. This evening we are here to talk about this latest episode, X-Men 97, Season 1, Episode 5, Remember It. Man, what an episode. We got a great panel here, the weekly watch group. This mid-season episode delivered. Joining me today, we have the marvelous Miss Kennedy. How you doing today, Teresa?
I'm well, thank you.
Wonderful. Insert cool nickname. We got Brandy right here. How you doing, Brandy?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Big Cash from the group home, Cashmere the Pro. What's going on, man?
As always, a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
And joining me, as always, JP17.com, Jeffrey. What's up, man?
I'm emotional. Feeling very Carl Thomas right now.
Look at my nickname today. Normally, I would have just Elder Geek Sam. No, today I just wanted everybody. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Opening up real quick. Big sign at the bottom if you don't see it. This is a spoiler episode. So if you have not watched episode 5, go watch that episode, then come back. Now, we are at our half season recap. Most of the focus is going to be on episode 5, but we did our intro episode, and there's a couple of things that have happened in some of the other episodes. So we may dip and talk about some of that stuff, because I think another thing that really needs to be touched on, if you weren't on our live episode, discussed at length the situation with Storm and Forge. You know, the episode 4, Half-Life, and then of course the Mondo, the guy's name? Mojo World, and everything that was happening with that little video game. And that looked like a really fun game that I would actually download and play. They should make that an Xbox Live. I would have played Mojo's World with the simulation and have Jubilee and Sunspot.
Just play through all like these nostalgic 90s episodes.
Right.
That would be a fire video game. Sorry.
That really would make it a side scroll beat 'em up, similar to the way it was shown. And you could even include something along the lines of like the Double Dragon reboots and the Streets of Rage, Turtles, Scott Pilgrim games that have come out. A very simple arcade game. Release it on all platforms. Be a ton of fun. You can even make it a mobile game.
All of us don't have capacity for first-person shooter. Just for all the video game people out there.
I have lots of notes for this episode because there were a lot of key moments. And Brandon, I kind of use your format for notes. I have like these nice little sentences that summarize everything I was thinking at that moment. That was kind of how my format would go around. But man, I guess we could just start at the beginning of the episode. So we open up with the news reporter, of course, after Magneto's antics and everything that went down at the UN, they've decided, right?
Victim blaming?
No, I'm just saying. After everything that went down, I had
Magneto's antics.
Fired early.
It could have got a lot worse for people, and they were really lucky.
I know, but I
just
find describing an insurrection as Magneto's antics very interesting.
The moment he decided to take UN panel up into the sky and hold them at the threat of death, those are his antics. Those are the antics specifically. Now, everything that led up to that, not his fault. When we got to that point, for them to then come back and agree to put Genosha as a UN nation, that was where I was like, oh, that is progress. We see Beast is having a conversation with a news reporter that he obviously thinks a lot of, and she seems to think a lot of him too. We get to see Beast flirting. Got a lot of good lines, a lot of puns and wordplay in this. Oh, this was such a heavy episode. Where do we start? Where's
Jesus Christ, y'all are emotional over here. Good. Is everybody all down from episode 5? Can we just ask that very quickly?
Yes.
Is the panel because
I tried to watch it again.
I'll tone it down a little bit with my normal hate.
I tried to watch it again before the episode and I couldn't finish.
Wow.
I was like, yeah. I mean, I want to say before we get into it, in my opinion, what these writers have done is nothing short of a miracle in today's climate. I know everybody is not loving the show, but for a vast majority of the people who are watching the show are having a good time and enjoying. And I think that we are in a culture now where if you can have like most of the online conversation about your show be positive, then especially after the hurdle of pre-release controversy with the whole morph thing, with the showrunner being fired. I mean, compound that with X-Men being this highly anticipated property, so that's pressure. Compound that with just knowing that like this is a culture where if you mess with people's stuff that they love and you don't do it right, you are risking online attack, for lack of a better word. And I think that balancing the characters, the storylines that they've chosen, the pace they're moving at has all just been like, for me, such an enjoyable thing. The small Easter eggs, changing up the theme song, giving the perfect balance for people who are new to X-Men and for people who love the original series. So I want to start there by giving these writers, like, halfway through the semester, this is a good progress report. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like you sitting on an A+ for me right now. Just due to also degree of difficulty. This is not like a brand new property where somebody's like making it up. This is not just a direct adaptation of the comic book. Like, this is something that people loved before you, and you have to find a way to make it relevant, not necessarily turn people off, but make it something compelling that people on both sides of knowledge of the property will respond to. And I think that they've done a tremendous job with the very, very difficult task. Before I get into like nitpicking or talking about any details, that's where I personally would like to start.
Okay, and I think that is a good starting point.
You can go around.
When I was watching this episode, I thought to myself that this was a surprisingly mature episode, looking at the themes that they covered. And as we've watched and we've seen the series grow, given that this is a continuation of the original X-Men series, it's one thing to pick up and make more of the same and kind of have almost what would be considered like kiddish content. But I feel like they knew the audience was going to be a lot of those people who watched it when it came out originally, coming back to watch it again. And they've allowed the show to kind of grow up with us. So we're seeing characters that we know and we're familiar with, and we even remember some of the stuff in the show. There's a conversation that takes place between Gambit and Nightcrawler, and they're like, oh, as long as you don't have any of those, murderous monks coming at me. Oh, things have changed since the Alps. Like, oh, I remember that episode. And I'm having those kind of moments. As I'm continuing to watch the episode, I'm like, wow, this is not the same show. This is a real show. This is not just a cartoon with characters that I like. Somebody took time and wrote this drama in. And like I said, there was a lot of dialogue, and the dialogue was witty banter, and it was playful, and of course everybody kind of stuck to their role, but it was like still written so damn well. The puns fit exactly where they needed to fit with all of the characters. So it still gives you that jokey joke cartoon feel, but what they're saying is important. And you find yourself listening to these conversations and focusing in and paying attention. That's my takeaway. It is very much a show that has been allowed to grow up for the audience that's watching, but it still remains friendly and inviting for younger people who would be interested in watching a cartoon. Saw a little bit more violence this time than I think we're familiar with from X-Men, especially like the original series. But there again, it's real subject matter that they're showing, and the content being displayed the way it's being displayed fits right along with the narrative. And I think some stories have to be told a certain way. And I was not expecting them to go this direction, but now I have no choice but to see how this plays out. And I know we've even had a discussion here about like who did and who didn't watch Game of Thrones, but let me tell you something. I was not expecting to be watching anything akin to Game of Thrones and have to start wondering about my character and my feelings for my character. We went from the Hellfire Gala to the Red Wedding, and I was not prepared for that. And I was able to watch it 2 times. I had the time, I got it in, and I was just like picking up on so much that came from the episode. So I like that it is a much more matured version of something that I enjoyed once before. It's now been allowed to mature with me to keep me on. So I'm eagerly looking forward to seasons 2 and 3 already. RG, I know you have some interesting thoughts, or Teresa, Brandy, overall thoughts.
I'll be a gentleman on this. One of the ladies can go.
Mine will be quick, because I don't feel like I have academic take as you guys. I didn't write an essay.
Geeks.
I didn't even take notes. I only watched it once. I will watch it again probably next week before I watch the next one. I think, Sam, whereas you said that the show is written for the people who watched it before and the kids could come in and watch or whatever, I think 100% it's not for kids. I think it would picked up and it's for the people who watched it before. Because I said like the second or third episode, I'm sitting there watching, I'm going, this is not for kids. This is for the modern geek that has that it's so, I don't want to say fashionable, but it's a little bit more mainstream now. It's more accepted to be this geek or this nerd, this Marvel geek, and I think that's 100% who it's for. And I think that's great. And it was kind of hard for me to get into the original because I did not watch it as a child. I binged it like a few months ago, but I'm all in for this one. I'm really enjoying it, and as Jeffrey mentioned, it's kind of reconciling with everyone. Everything I've seen, except for one person, one Facebook friend, everything I've seen has been positive. Everybody is loving it. Everybody, this episode in particular is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I had that one stray Facebook friend who said that he just can't get into it. He just doesn't like it or what. And I'm like, that's a you problem. Because they're obviously doing a really good job with the show, in my opinion. My flabber was gasted, as Brandy said, in a in a video I saw earlier, and mine was as well. I did not expect it to go that way. They still got my attention. I will still be watching, and I'm so bad. My poor mind. I think I have remembered everything that I can remember, so I've started like dropping stuff off and leaving it behind so I can remember new stuff, and I just can't remember anything. I watched that whole show and could not remember Nightcrawler's name for anything to save my life, until I saw somebody something about it later on, and I'm like, that's who it is. It's Nightcrawler. But yeah, I did catch that reference to the monks, probably though because I just saw it like a few months ago. But I was proud of
Right.
myself for remembering something anyway. Well, but that's my take.
I would definitely, I could see how the maturity level in this show feels a little higher. But I mean, even as a Disney Plus, when you look at the actual ratings on the show, stuff like that, it's not, rated M or anything like that. It's still technically, it's TV 14. So, maybe don't have your 5-year-old watching X-Men 97, but, I think that people who would be able to conceptualize mutants and what that means, that they're different and people don't like them because they're different, the teens, the preteens, I believe they could get into this. And if they hadn't seen all the previous episodes, they hadn't watched all the previous seasons, they can enjoy this. And anytime you do a remake, reboot, a continuation of an older series, there's always that requirement of realistic growth, because there is going to be a returning audience. And oftentimes what I find, especially when I have conversations about this, I know the nostalgia factor that something might hold for me personally, but I can also understand if someone, when my kids didn't like the movie Goonies, while I looked at them aghast and was like, get out, I get why they didn't like it.
Right.
Not because it's not a good movie, because we had to play it on a DVD and it was standard, not even widescreen. And I had to go and order it on Blu-ray to give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. It looks old. There's some movies that just look dated when you watch it. And this show looks fantastic. So that helps. And that'll keep people interested in coming back. The animation and the art, crisp, is clean. It's a little digital. They've got this. I've watched some of this behind the scene features. Whatever, they have like this layering thing that they do that adds depth, and it's very impressive. Because of that, I do think that it can be very inviting to new viewers. But this is absolutely written for those people who watched the first, the people who grew up with it and are coming back to.
I think the thing is, one of the things that I had that was a pet peeve of mine about how fast the plot kind of went, where everything we kind of got conflict, and then conflict got resolved very quickly. One thing that I'm actually noticing about the show is that it actually does that pretty well. Where before it was an issue of mine where I felt like they didn't give you enough time to get vested in the characters or get vested in the plot, or get vested in the story. It actually does. The way they set up the conflict and resolve the conflict is good enough that it keeps me, I still want to know, like, I still want to know what's going to happen to that character. The big deal is about episode 5 and how everything, how that ended, and the surprise, how that was a jolt for a lot of people. But episode 4, like the continuation of Storm's story and her that developing relationship between her and Forge. I mean, in the couple of minutes of screen time that they allowed them, they addressed it very well. And to give them credit, even in this episode, in episode 5, they addressed the tension between Rogue and Gambit very well. Like, it was enough that you felt like, okay, is she gonna choose Magneto? Is she gonna go back with Gambit? They did a very good job of still keeping you interested in the outcome of that little love triangle. So I give them a lot of credit at, even though it's very fast paced and things are coming at you very quickly, and you kind of, they're forcing you to pay attention. I think one of the things that I give them credit for, that from the original series, is this one really forces you to pay attention. The writing is actually pretty fucking strong. Like, they are on point with the writing. The dialogue is done really well. When they had the Hellfire Club in there, and they had the White Queen, and I forgot Sebastian Shaw in there. Like, that was really good. That was a really good sequence right there. And it's incredibly short. Like, it's not long. It's not like that was like 5 minutes of time. But they accomplished in 2 minutes of time. They really set up the power dynamic. Not from a superpowers, but just from a political power struggle, right? And an ego power struggle. They did a very good job with setting that up. I am a little upset that it took Gambit till everybody else died to charge up the darn thing. The whole time I'm like, just charge up the Sentinel.
But he wasn't
man.
next to it.
Yeah,
that's what he kept saying.
Apparently he thought he had a 10. I guess he had a 10 because he obviously knew. He said, "Oh, you can't get close to it. Anybody gets close to it gets leveled." And thanks to the plot, you wind up getting close now. Because your girlfriend's about to get murked, and you don't want her to get murked. And I feel that, but good God, there's sometimes I'm just be like,
he wasn't close enough to touch her though.
No. I mean, eventually, fortunately, he had to. What happened?
The first time he touched
he had to take
when he got stabbed.
Right, exactly. No, but what happened was, during that break where he's not on screen and they finally connect, he mentioned how he's seen people must have been trying to get close, and that you couldn't get close to it because anybody who was getting close to it was getting vaporized. So I'm figuring for you to have that information, you must have been either attempting to get close or you were watching people get close. So that's why I'm making that statement. Like, at any point in time, I'm waiting for him to go ahead and do your thing and, use your super agility moves to get closer to it and charge this thing up and destroy it. But that's kind of always been my issue about the X-Men, since the beginning of time, is you're stronger than everybody, man. Just fucking take over, man. Like, just shy our, empire, these motherfuckers, and just be like, we control it. I want this like the boys, where, we can take over, like the Viltrumites, and just, we're stronger than all of y'all. I don't know who the hell is building these Sentinels that now all of a sudden they just super powerful. Like, just so, but good job on their behalf, because now they got me thinking, who the hell is building these Sentinels? Who's behind this? So they're keeping me interested. All my hater tendencies are just getting suppressed because I gotta give them credit. They're doing a good job.
Right. You let all that hateration build up.
You got no
might
choice.
explode.
The show is good.
It's trying. No, I get, Teresa, I get plenty. There are so many bad shows in the world. I get plenty of opportunity to legitimately hate on things and not feel guilty.
Gotcha. So, last but not least, Miss Brandy, thoughts on the show so far?
Well, apparently, I don't know. As much as it made me emotional, I watched it and then I watched it again and then I watched reaction because I was like in a moment of, does anybody else feel this? Is anybody else feeling this the way that I'm feeling? I think one of the main, as great as that action and that final fight was incredible, it was the moments for me. The moment between Scott and Jean and what's her name?
Madeline Pryor.
Thank you. That moment, the moment between Jean and Wolverine. Like what was that about?
Right.
And I was very proud of Wolverine for being like, you're not gonna do this to me again. Because it's always Scott and Jean. It's gonna be Scott and Jean. So go be Scott and Jean. I'm not doing this with you.
I have a note for that.
Magneto and Gambit's interactions. Magneto is very much sunning him. Like at every opportunity. Just wanted to remind you that you are the only one who has to worry about gravity in this. You know what I mean? Like, just so you know, you still my son. Gambit and Rogue, of course, their interactions broke my heart. I was really displeased with her. And Rogue and Magneto, that flashback sequence when Magneto had the open shirt like Jeff Goldblum, I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is about. I see you with your silver mane. I got
now
you.
It's like,
I see what
happened. To stand.
Right.
Yeah, Magneto is a groomer.
He was. It was very like the way I was kind of surprised they didn't back off that a little bit more. And they did not. And even though they didn't go as deep into it, I mean, you know, it's a kid show, but you did enough that other people picked up on that. I saw that term more than one time. Like, dang, Magneto really groomed that girl. Yeah, he did. And yeah. I just thought they even like Kurt being so happy to see them. Like I just feel like, and by the way, Dazzler, shout out to her because I was like, that's Dazzler. But I just thought that it was like you said, like, oh, don't be like in Nepal or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I really enjoyed the kind of personal exchanges between these characters. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of falling off. Episode 4, I was like, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I want Storm to get her power. I don't give a damn about none of this. Listen, if you're gonna serve Storm, I'm gonna need her to be gathering somebody together. I don't like this.
He gathered the shit out of Ford. She gathered the shit out of Ford.
I mean, you know, I want to see Storm.
Got that hand. That's a machine.
She gave him the thunder.
I really was kind of like, meh. Like, I mean, I didn't have an excitement to see. Not that I wasn't going to watch it, because clearly, I mean, I'm going to watch it. But it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait. Like now, I'm like, oh my gosh, how will I survive until next month? Like, how am I going to make it 7 days? And I don't know about my baby. I appreciate Cable. I thought that was interesting. So I'm sure that will come into play again. And they will save my baby because I'm gonna need them to save my baby.
That's the hope I'm holding on to.
I was so distraught over Gambit that it completely escaped me that Magneto went to. That's how invested I am in Gambit. I was like, oh,
Well, I know I'm just perpetually confused. So I was like, wait a minute. Because I saw Magneto and then I'm like, but is he really? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just confused. And I guess I'll wait till next week.
I had to watch it again because I was like, it just was a lot of information.
It was a
so
lot.
I watched it again, and then I was like, okay, well, I have people that I follow, so let me see because everybody I follow on YouTube watches the same thing.
Make sure that I was having the correct reactions to this.
Right, like and of course, when you watch someone else watch something, they may point out things that I was like, oh, I completely missed that the first time or whatever. But yeah, no, they definitely. It was so good. I called my cousin. He called me like he was texting me through the first episode, like, "Oh my god, and I was like, "Just wait."
Well, feel free to share some link to some reaction videos.
Oh yeah, listen, my guys are who I follow quite a few reaction channels.
I think too, like I just want to piggyback on like the writing because I feel like I don't know about anybody else, but every week I basically have just been going back to episode 1 and then watching it all the way through up to that episode. I'm not going to keep doing that up. Like this is, I can't go through all that again. But going back and rewatching it really kind of like shows how well they connect everything. Cause like when Jean goes inside Sinister's mind and then she sees, like, not inside Sinister's mind, she goes inside what's his name at jail's mind, and then she starts seeing all the like Sinister stuff, but you don't know it's Mr. Sinister obviously the first time you watch, but once you watch it, you're like, this is so obviously Mr. Sinister. It's like everything about it, the colors, the way that it's done screams Sinister, but like they literally slapped me in the face with it and I didn't see it coming.
Right.
But even just like the way they connect stuff within the episode. So in episode 5, they go to like Genosha's like little council. And the thing Banshee says is like, we have to make a big statement, like to show like our power, our unity. Obviously with them getting attacked was like a response to that, because Banshee's saying they need to make a big statement, but just their existence is a big statement enough to some people for that level of an attack. But then even in the writing, it's like a lot of writers would have maybe just killed Magneto, but they kill Magneto, they kill Gambit, they kill Callisto, they kill like some very recognizable people. I'm assuming Madeline Pryor, you know what I mean?
Hurt. I'm not entirely sure if he still lived. He was alive, but
I think Madeline Pryor was still alive.
But they basically created it so it's like this is the unifying thing. Like they're showing you that, because so much of your experience as like a viewer watching X-Men has been seeing mutants on opposite sides of like how things should be done. And you know, even just like the giant statues of Professor X and Magneto kind of show like get rid of the and the fear of unity within that community was enough of a threat for heavily like they brought out the new model. Nobody even knew it existed.
For real.
They pulled a big truck out for that. And I think in terms of writing, like creating an event that truly is like supposed to be unifying mutants and seeing what the aftermath even inside the mutant community is going to be about. What should the response be? How long can Professor X's dream hold on? How long can people who are underfoot and know they can whoop your ass, like how many punches are they going to take before they strike out? How hard are they going to let you hit them? And I don't know. I feel like it's such, I know X-Men is like very much a racial allegory, you know, modern times of allegory for LGBT community, etc. But I feel like the thing that has always been almost vilified was like the idea of the oppressed standing up for themselves, and there's like this moral code that is expected among the oppressed to like not fight back, not, you know, don't stoop down to their level,
etc.
Go higher. Like, when they go low, you go high.
The X-Men have always been Martin.
Right. But listening to Scott's speech at the end of that interview, then this happens. And you think about it in terms of like in world, right? Who is the mutant now the world turns to?
So,
and what has he just said on national TV?
All I can think, and that's why I'm saying earlier, I'm already looking forward to season 2 and 3, because there's a couple of things that when both Madeline Pryor and Jean Grey get that mental, right before that mental blast, or right after that mental blast, we see Cable show up for the first time. Technically, they have the same DNA, so in theory, they would be the same person. I feel like that mental blast came from Cable, and he gets there, he's trying to tell everybody, he knows that the person that's there is his mom, because he says, "Mom, I'm sorry," is getting sucked back into the portal. He's there to warn everybody. Cable's a time trap. I have written right here, how they gonna kill Magneto? I have written in all caps, how they gonna kill Rib? Like, Magneto's death was like, I can't believe they did that. Gambit's death was like, I know you fucking, what? Because how do you go on with this show if you kill off everybody we came to see? Then I thought about it. The show is already working on seasons 2. You're not gonna do 3 seasons of X-Men and not have Gambit. You're not gonna do that. You can't. I don't know if I'd be ready. But we've already seen Scott have his moment where he was pissed. And he got pissed over the word normal, because she's like, well, Scott, I came here to, let the world see that mutants are normal, just like it. I'm sorry, what? No. We're not your normal, okay? Your normal ass would be dead if it would. I was like, right there. I was like, oh, Scott giving it to her. You know what? Don't apologize. Read her for, you know what? I'm proud of you, Scott. Good job. Then I thought about it. You know what? That is half Scott villain arc. This is one of those things where like they've already given us in that first episode, showing us that Scott really could be that dude. Then they kind of let him get soft again. And then they kind of chumped him off again. And
I can't be a part of this.
I won't abandon my son. Lets the son go through the time warp. Wait, what? That's not a bit okay. And then, of course, like him having a whole conversation with Gene and the way he was like, well, you only remember you love me. Do you feel like you love me now? Like just that whole dialogue and exchange going back and forth. And I was like, both of y'all are right. Like you know what? That's wow. I don't even know how I knew at first I was like kind of pulling for Gene because I was like, dog, that's kind of messed up. But then I'm like, is it cheating if it's a clone? Like, because nobody knew that wasn't Gene. Wolverine didn't go like, you smell wrong. You know what I'm saying? He thought it was Gene this whole time. Everybody else thought Professor X didn't know it wasn't Gene. And then Gene coming back like, how could you, Scott? It wasn't me. Like,
yeah, but he knew it wasn't Gene right then and there in episode 5 when he got caught.
Right when he was having
right.
She ain't
mad about
what
he had been.
No.
He said this has been going on for a month.
I get that.
There you go. Yeah, he mind cheating.
She's back. No.
He
I
was
get that.
cheating.
Once she,
because that is Madeline. He knows that's not Gene.
He
that's
knows
Madeline.
that's not Gene.
And he ain't trying to get close to Gene either. They kind of addressed that last episode too, or was it episode 3 where it's like he won't even really
she said in episode 4 he won't talk.
Her.
He won't talk to me. He's not talking to me like that.
Yeah. And I am absolutely talking about his villain arc, right? I am not saying that.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying
I'm saying like this is
he was aware.
He was aware. He was aware.
I'm not getting no passes on this. Not on this
they
podcast.
do have feelings for each other. It's hard because Madeline does have feelings for Scott. She's been living this life. They have a baby. Gene did not carry.
Madeline has a baby with him, not Gene.
Right. So I'm just saying it's unfair to ask Madeline to just turn that off as well.
Exactly.
And
I do get it.
Now, and this is the part that is actually like the interesting part. Once we establish that it's Madeline and Gene, but all of this time you have with Madeline, you thought was with Gene. Yeah. Once you find out that time that you thought was with Gene is actually with Madeline, how do you say that wasn't real for Gene? If my man Scott is like, I'm done with all of y'all, I can't be mad at that. Because it's like you said, it's unfair for her to be like, you just love, she's just a piece of me. Right. Piece of you.
Fact.
It's not like
this is the thing.
So
this is the thing.
I
only got two issues with Gene in this scenario. Okay. One, you just came from kissing Wolverine.
Yes.
Okay. So like
like I said, what was that even?
Like the high you need to get a shorter high horse if we talking about infidelity. All right. Like you was lonely, so was Scott. He was cheating in the mind. You was cheating in whatever underwater.
Yeah, but like they was okay. So
made.
They were passionately kissing in the mind. How deep did this mind stuff go over this last month?
Oh yeah, he was definitely hitting
that. Is different.
He was hitting it.
They on their dead press.
If he was just talking to her, he wouldn't have felt guilty. That's why he felt guilty and wasn't talking to her for a month. He went in to say what's up, see how she was doing.
This was our thing. This was the thing we used to do.
Which is exactly why she knows how to do it.
With her. Oh hell. Like,
but my issue is my only two issues is that you came from kissing another dude who there's like for real problems.
Right.
Love you.
If like there's real problems with that, and luckily he had enough respect for you and for Scott and for himself not to let it go down. But don't throw in my face that you was gonna leave me the stars and the moons and all this was beckoning for you and you chose me. Okay, you made your choice. Like
you almost
it ain't my fault.
The planet.
Right,
you almost destroyed the planet.
You made a choice that you don't get to hang a choice you made for me over my head in a very complex and complicated situation.
Yeah,
like you just trying to win the fight right now and make me feel bad, and then that's when I got to come back with, do you even love me? Like that's why it take that at that real turn. But like that's a real like the conversations in this episode, relationship conversations have been handled very, very well. It's like
that's why I was like.
They fought.
One of the reasons, though,
they didn't need to, but they got where they needed to go. Go ahead. Sorry.
One of the reasons I was upset about that, about do you really love me or do you just remember that you loved me, is that for Gene, no time really has passed, right? Like from what I understand, from the time she was taken to the time she showed up, no time for her had passed.
She just was asleep.
So she's in love with Scott because he said it in the interview. They've been in love since high school days.
Whenever
So
I
I think
left,
it was
But she's
unfair
in
of
love.
him to be like, "Do you love me?" And yesterday I loved you. Of course, I still love you today. You just have an entire block of time with someone else.
he was
But
playing
Just
I'm
dirty.
because I
also not
wasn't
the
there doesn't
same.
He
mean
was playing
I
dirty.
was,
But I'm also
you know.
not the same person I was whenever you got taken.
Exactly.
So do you love me,
Exactly.
or do you love the me that I was the day before that you got taken? Because I'm not him.
Right, but see, yeah, but he can't use that as an excuse. He was playing dirty. He
was
lost
playing dirty.
First off, you mind cheating with her twin. So let's keep it
No,
a
not
buck.
twin.
You
Not
mind
twin.
Clone.
right, but clone.
Clone.
But let's say if this was real life and we didn't have superpower. You are messing with her twin. That's what you basically do. You
Clone.
basically sitting up here saying, "Oh snap, you got kidnapped. I didn't even realize you got kidnapped. Your twin was over here acting like you. She said all the same things you do. She
Yeah,
do the
single white
exact same.
female.
She remembers everything. Right. So
But
he
in this-
continued
in-
his whole relationship with Jean. Right.
In
He
that
continued
case,
his whole
though,
relationship.
in that case, though, the twin thought she was the original sister.
Not a problem. So right. So it's like Castaway, right? When everybody thought he was dead. He comes back. Here's the person I love. She's married. What do I do? Because she didn't stop loving him. They didn't break up, right?
Right.
She loved him and then he was gone, right? So it's the same situation for Gene. I loved you, but now I'm asleep. So I wake up, I still love you, right? Now he's like, now here's the thing. He would have been totally okay had it not been revealed. Oh snap, I had a baby with your clone. Damn. That's messed up. Okay, you have to reconcile that. Like, look, either I'm sorry, I fell in love with your clone. I fell in love. I've been spending all this time with her. I don't even know how much time I've been spending with her, but I got to raise this kid, and this is the mother. So, you know something, Logan, you got your wish, my dude. Like, you got your wish. But I understand why she's upset, right? Like you come in and you're trying to work it out and he ain't talking to you and you like, oh, I'm gonna see what he doing. Oh, you talking to this? Oh, you talking to your baby mama? Oh, all right, right? So and then he gonna be like, well, you even love me? You even love me or you love what you remember? Nigga, I love you. I just finished loving you. I was asleep. I didn't stop loving you. That's not my fault. You can't get mad. That's low blow. He playing dirty.
It's not her fault at all, but it's also not his fault. He has shared years of his life.
It's his fault if it's his fault if he's doing that shit.
No.
It's his fault if he's doing that shit.
I'm saying there's different. I'm saying wait. Scott is in the wrong. Period.
Okay,
point
there
blank.
we go.
Okay.
There we go.
He was put into a difficult situation and he made a poor choice in how he handled. He should have gone and had a conversation with Gene and said, look,
yes,
I am conflicted.
Thank you. That absolutely.
Like, and
as much as that would have hurt her feelings, it wouldn't have hurt her feelings as bad as basically walking in on her husband with another woman.
Right.
I'm not only another woman, but another woman that stole me from me. To me, this woman, as cool as we is, she's still evil. She's a part of evil. You know she comes from evil. You understand that. And you still laid up with this? Listen, he better be lucky she can control her Phoenix powers. Are you this muffin cap back blue.
Are we still talking about the show, Brittany?
Is Madeline? I feel like, but then Madeline Pryor, like, so she's still evil because I
feel
not
like evil.
Because I look at it like this: we can't
come from evil.
Even like Jean said when she was like, she was literally a creation of someone called Sinister. How can you look at this woman and be like, this is still the love of my life when you know her origins, what she was sent for, what was going on? You know,
the baby,
like
that baby though. That's a strong bond.
I understand what Scott is going through.
I certainly agree with
but I agree with RG. Were you the one that was like, but what he should have done was go to Gene and say,
that was Jeff. Jeff said,
I would like, no,
I'm conflicted.
And I will say,
that is the proper way to do this, not sneak in and doing things for a month behind her back.
Right. And I agree with that part wholeheartedly. I will concede that Jeffrey was correct. There was a better way to have handled. I still just want to go on record, and I will move on to my next point. I just want to go on record as saying that until she chose the name Madeline Pryor, she was Jean Grey. All of the time that he has with Madeline, he had that time with Jean. So all of the feelings that he developed were the same in that regard. And once you find out, now there's the question of, well, was this Jean or was this Madeline? Which events are true? Because they both remember parts and they both were a part of parts and they have the same memory. So
like,
now
was that with you or was that with your clone? Like, that's an argument waiting to happen right there.
You see what I'm saying?
It's like, Gene, remember that time? No, I don't remember. Why don't you go call
right,
Madeline?
Because we don't know when it happened. We don't know when the swap was.
And so
you got
that's
me confused with that other chick.
In Scott's mind, and this is not to defend in the astral plane, not to defend those acts, but the entire time he was with Jean, turned out to be Madeline. He thought he was with Jean. Once we find out that there are two Jeans, how do I know which Jean is the real Jean? If it wasn't for Beast carbon dating these two ladies, they wouldn't have known which Jean was the real.
Yeah, but I also have to interject because he's not making any effort to connect with Jean. But he's still maintaining a relationship with Madeline. If we're talking about which one is the real, which one is the clone, you're not trying to see where Jean is at, what's going on with her, how's she feeling. This is a shock to her as well. Like, you're not checking in with her or even trying to create a relationship. He's like, Madeline is Jean. That's who I want to be with. So then say that.
I do attribute that to the fast pace.
That's where I say he's on the
fast pace of the show.
Villain arc.
Yeah,
right? The show is fast paced.
They both stated that he's not talking to her. Like they have both made, mention of the fact that they're not close. Things aren't working like they're supposed to. It's like there's a barrier in between them, and that barrier is Madeline. So just go be with Madeline because that's who you want to be with. Like RG did say, go be with your baby mama.
It is.
And I just think the way that came about, and like we said, the grown-up conversation they were having, the dialogue in general, the way relationships were explored. Shout out to Wolverine, like being a stand-up guy in the end.
Yes.
I was really shocked by that.
Integrity. He did.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that. I mean, not really, but still kind of, because it's like the way you've been pining after her for all these, even like 2 seconds before in the conversation, you talking about, I know what it's like to love someone who doesn't love you back. And then she turns to kiss you. She's like, I'm feeling a little hurt right now. I don't want it like this. I want it to be real. When you are truly ready to be with me, then come see me. And that's why, like when Jeff said,
you don't want to be a rebound dude. You don't want to be a
and you know what?
dude.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him for being like, you're not finna use me.
Because they've been, look, I'm gonna say this. They've been doing the dude on this show dirty when it comes to relationships.
Don't they?
First of all, Wolverine had to drive, turns out to be the clone of the love of his life, to the hospital to have some other dude baby.
Yeah.
Gambit basically had to watch Rogue, old professor, come back and just like snatch her right on up from under him.
I mean, with no effort.
Scott just started feeling himself
on the dance floor. Oh my God, I felt bad for him.
I felt so bad for him.
I was like,
I was so glad they showed him leaving.
She pulled the whole Ready Player One on that dude.
That was so hurtful.
Yeah. And so it's like, and then with Scott, he just started to get cool, and now he just like, I don't know what to do. It's back to that same old.
Right.
Beast finally was about to get some play. Scott had to go mess it up by giving his little hate speech, his little angry man dictator speech.
He was sitting in the interview room.
Beast was in the back like, come on, bro. I ain't
never seen that's gonna be this nigga meme. Just put Beast turning and be like,
that's Scott, man.
Hey,
Morph told me you was a bitch.
Jen, that was so cute.
Let's see.
Morph
go to the danger
is
room.
Clearly in love with Wolverine.
Yeah,
I mean, boy, you know something? I think is just Wolverine. Just
my man trying to come in the shower on the like.
I know, right? He non-binary though, right?
It was nothing ambiguous about what he was about to do in that bath.
Here's the question. Here's the question: is he RuPaul? Or is he Elliot Page?
He's whoever you want to be.
He's literally right? If you had sex with Morph as a woman, you were having sex with a woman. You weren't having sex with.
There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Because he would be a woman. It's not even like he had a baby. He would be a woman. It's not like trans or non-binary in that way.
It becomes.
Right. He's only non-binary because he can switch either.
Right.
Either or.
So that's
well, no, he got somebody pregnant. That means when he switches into those bodies, everything works.
He gains the powers and abilities of the person transformed.
Right, exactly. So, as long as he don't switch in mid-action, then we good, right?
Okay, whoa.
I would pay cash.
Diddy party. It's a Diddy party.
Whoa.
Cash money.
Okay.
Diddy party. Morph is at the Diddy. I thought he told you that he won't stop.
That's
why he's back.
I loved all the metaphors that they were using throughout the show. I thought it was a very touching conversation between Rogue and Gambit. And they just kept like, oh, it's only skin deep, but I can't touch you. You can make everything light up except me. I'm like, y'all just leaning all into the metaphor.
Grown.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I should leave the room while y'all talk. Hold on.
I feel like I should have left the room during that dance.
I like that because I feel like showing these dudes need a clear illustration of like how to handle a woman like not choosing. And honestly, I appreciate them showing multiple versions of men, even if you make a stupid decision, make a mistake. Like they're showing examples also of men handling it well. And it's also both of the men who you would expect not to handle it well.
Yes.
Like they set it up like we was waiting for Gambit to be a bitch and start tearing up shit and just throwing stuff around the mansion. People like we waiting on the outburst. We waiting on Wolverine. You finally got your chance, dog. You got to knock that down. And what do? They have been sitting, I think, on the sidelines of what they want for so long. They recognize how they want. And I think with Gambit, him being sure, him not, lashing out and being like, F this, F you, like he didn't feel the need to do that because the reality is like, even if someone who cares about you hurts them, you hurting them is not going to make you not hurt.
I think it's
and also to your point that you made about Gambit, when he and Kurt were talking about you should just go marry her. I thought of you because he said, "Oh, I'm a bachelor. We don't call the priest. Like I'm not going to get married. I'm far too big." While he's clearly pining over this woman, and I thought about your point about Gambit when you said he doesn't want to take that risk. He doesn't want to make that jump because if he jumps into a relationship, people will have expectations of him. He will have to perform.
But then during their argument, though, he did say, "You always never wanted to make it official, so I played the role of the swamp rat." So it's
right.
That's true.
And I think that even makes the end like more poignant because when Gambit is, spoiler alert, when Gambit dies and he's in Rogue's, she's in. Well, first of all, even when she's doing the dance with Magneto, there's a moment she cuts her eyes to the side and Gambit's not there. And I think that's the moment where she realizes, this is
more than skin deep.
Exactly. And then you cut to the end because it's like on all the X-Men missions, she's used to him being there. And the moment where she's taking her ascension and he's not there, she realizes she did feel because she felt that he was not there in that
wasn't
moment.
there, facts.
And then even more so at the end where it's like what you felt was so much and all encompassing that you didn't even realize you were feeling it. It's like air on your skin, but now the absence actually shows you that
to me, bro? Like, damn.
The absence is showing you that no, it was there. You just couldn't realize or took it for granted, or however you want to phrase it. However, she's manifesting it in her mind. It's like you thought you couldn't feel him until you actually couldn't.
And also when they kissed her and Magneto, and she was like, "Some things are deeper than this." Like.
Yeah.
As much as I relish the physical touch, what I have with this man is so much more than that. It doesn't matter. Like
Magneto touches her flesh, Remy touches her spirit.
Her soul. Facts.
Okay.
Magneto touches her flesh is crazy though.
I mean, you know,
that's facts though. Like
that's what he's doing.
And she obviously he wasn't in
right,
the
but you're gonna get, that's the maturity.
Like, hey, so you're here now. How long are you gonna be?
But that's her maturity. It's okay, which is kind of wild about that episode in the kids show. That's the maturity of a woman. Here it is. You could be with somebody who does something for you physically, and you can get your head wrapped up in the idea of what they can do for you physically, but then you miss that connection, that actual, that spiritual, that emotional connection that you have. When she realized, I'm going to lose that connection, which runs deeper than just how you can make me feel good, that he can really make her feel. She can, you know what I'm saying? Like he makes her mental, her emotional, her mind, everything about her. So I respected that part. I mean, that was tough, but good point, man. They are doing the dudes. It is good to see the men handle that right and show, you don't bug out, you don't trip out, you don't do stupid shit just because she's rejecting you. You accept it. You already have a relationship. Like he said, we're gonna be friends.
At the bottom with Madeline. Which, by the way, what was that about? I was like,
what happened?
Girl, back off. You already got some embroiled in other stuff. Don't you be trying to come for my boo now. Right. You leave that man alone. He got enough on his plate.
Nah, that was about to be a two lonely people who can't have what they want night.
I know, right?
That would have been in the next morning. Look over.
That's Terrence. That's Terrence Howard and what's the old girl in
Best Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he don't want you eat. They don't want you either.
Man, there's just so much. I definitely normally I would go into my whole like future prediction. I'm not. I'm just gonna watch the next episode and wait to see what happens. Anybody want to talk to me in the spoiler threads later? Get it. What you got?
I did want to make a point too about somebody was talking about the Forge Storm like half episode. And there is obviously like people who looked ahead know there's a full episode that's supposed to be dedicated to like
part 2,
the rest of that. So I look at it like, I think it's not next. I think it's next week.
Okay, good.
So it's part 2 of that story. And so what I've been telling people is like, no, we're getting 45 minutes of that story, not just 30. So even though that fit that whatever that 15 felt tacked on, but I mean, I like the Jubilee story. I think she gets she was not written very well as in the original series, in my opinion. You didn't really get any sort of growth out of her, and I think they've done a good job of like growing her up and like not having her be like petulant. Like she's not like Wesley Crusher on Star Trek, where it's just like, we just got this kid here, they're annoying, like we don't really, whatever. Like she's actually like, especially her, like having her be the like conduit for Sunspot. I thought that was interesting because like Jubilee was just like, she was the only kid there in her age group, and it's like it's kind of like me, like with my cousins. I got a bunch of cousins that's like 8 to 10 years older than me, and then I got a bunch of cousins that's like 5 to 6 years younger than me. So at the family function, it's like I want to hang with the older kids, but I'm not kind of old enough to do some of the stuff y'all doing. But I definitely am not trying to kick it with like these 8-year-olds right now. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like Jubilee was kind of always in that phase, and now she has like a friend, but also kind of walking him, because we always kind of get introduced to X-Men through the concept of like a teenager who's just discovered their powers, and like they're moving to the X Mansion, and as they learn things, we learn things. But having him actually have a friend that's her age, like you would like at school, has been an interesting development and an interesting role like for her. Like I think her and Morph kind of being like the moral compasses and keeping everybody grounded has been like an interesting development.
Even though Sunspot is a very annoying character.
He is annoying on the show.
I'm going on a record with he's in it just, oh Jesus Christ. Use your powers, dummy.
But you know why he's annoying? You know why he's annoying? Because he's like, when you think about the allegory and you think about the people who have his stand of like, I'm one of the good ones. Like those people are annoying. It's like there is no one of the good ones.
I'm not like
they're going to kill all of them.
Right.
I always tell my mom, I'll never be like those Negroes.
Exactly. Literally. I'm not like you Negroes. Thanks.
Yeah. I'm so looking forward to the rest of the season, the rest of these episodes, getting into the next season. With a little bit of like forward prediction, I do think we will see the rise of Scott Summers as new mutant leader, villainous version, who's tired of seeing his people trampled. He's definitely made a case for it, and I think with everything that's going on in his life, he's being pushed to an emotional state where it's going to be very easy for him to move that way and head that direction. I am very curious about the psychic blast, but I am very curious about the psychic blast and hope to get a little bit more information for that. And for those of you who are familiar and do read the comics, I am thinking we might be seeing something akin to Onslaught. And I just say that, and I say that just because I'm curious if Magneto's going to stay down, because comic books have never liked killing anyone off. But for them to take out both Magneto and Remy, somebody got to stay down. And if it's got to be somebody, I would almost want it to be Magneto.
Hell yeah, get out of here, man.
Yeah, because like if you don't bring Remy back, I'm gonna feel some kind of way about
groomer.
Yeah,
you know,
weirdo.
I can't give me Remy back and then snatch him up. I won't have it. I will not have it. We won't have it.
There you go.
It is
Next
unacceptable.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next episode, Cable comes back in time.
I agree. I feel like
Cable comes back 30 minutes before that happened.
The psychic blast, which is interesting because Jean was feeling those psychic blasts. And I do believe that was Cable. So that is very interesting. But that was way before the incident happened. So I feel like that is definitely, I hope that there's an episode we get maybe from Cable's perspective. And like maybe he's like doing a Groundhog Day thing. But also to your point, maybe Magneto, maybe one of them has to die to stop whatever this is.
So like Cable
I don't know
what the
threat is. I don't know who built that device.
This is I'm gonna just give my theory now. I'm gonna just throw it out there.
Okay.
So you know how in the original series / in the comics, Bishop is sent back in time to stop an X-Men, which was basically Mystique posing as Gambit from killing the president. Because that event sends the future into like cataclysm.
Turmoil.
I think that this is one of those types of events where it happened, but usually what happens is we just see like the future, and then we see the person go from the future to the past to try to like fix it. But we've never really seen a story like this told where it's like all linear and you just go through the cataclysmic event. And we've never seen it like linear all the way through and then see, okay, now what are we going to do to fix this?
How we fix it.
Because usually that story is told like, we know there's a problem, we go back to before the issue and try to stop it from happening. But now it's almost like just that type of story being told in a different end. Man, these writers are just they're I don't know what did old boy do? He had to do something crazy because
to get thrown out, right?
He did a good job.
He did a fantastic job.
He had an OnlyFans apparently, and I was just kind of like, really? That doesn't have anything to do with it.
Disney really ain't paying them folks, huh? When they talk about baby, you like feet.
And I did actually like, interestingly enough, I did like his cameo in this episode.
Yes.
Very cool to write yourself in, and because absolutely, if I would be the director who's always in a shot of my movie every time, guaranteed.
I would be a character like Shyamalan. Like,
right. I would Hitchcock that shit. Absolutely.
The cook.
You know what I'm saying? I would always be in myself.
Always be a bus driver.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Are there any final thoughts? Anything else anybody needs to wrap up, reconcile, or discuss?
I haven't cried over a cartoon in a very long time, probably since Encanto. And I literally shed tears today. So
I will say it was a little dusty. You know, I had that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Like, had to catch that one. Like, all right, make it. Okay. Whew, it almost fell. I wasn't ready for that. You know, like I said, I walked in thinking this was gonna be happy and joyous. They was having a party. I was like, oh, they doing the Hellfire Gala. Oh, check it out. Oh, Rogue made thinking back to what Jeff has said about like Rogue is forbidden fruit. And I'm like, okay, so they really playing up just how bad this woman is. Cause she flew in, everything stopped. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a hell of an end.
Yeah,
that's a hell of
absolutely.
And
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Took center stage, you and Magneto
center air. Shit.
Like right, like that's what I'm saying. Like y'all touch hands, y'all are floating in the air, dancing, doing the tango and everything, and everybody is stopped to watch. And it's like, and of course, there's some people who are like, "Wait, I thought she could. How was she touch?" So of course,
when
that's
he
like
saw
just
that,
causing.
when he saw them touch, is when he walked out.
He was like,
"I just felt so bad."
Oh, you just gonna throw it in my face?
He's like, "I got the baddest chick in the game. Where my chain?"
Right
in front of everybody. He's like, "If I can hit this, I'm untouchable." Literally. So get in line.
Never got to worry about her cheating on me, for real.
All right.
Just perfect setup.
I even think like even little stuff like that club. I was like, the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's crazy. They got like a water entrance for water mutants. They got a floating dance floor for people who can fly and teleport. I just feel like showing life on Genosha was like such a fascinating concept too, where it's like, yeah, everybody happy. Apples is $10, but everybody happy. You know what I'm saying? Like
$10. What? Well, they have to import everything.
Yeah. So. Somebody's like, why don't they just teleport more apples in? I'm like, so you want them to be thieves? Like,
y'all ain't really got no mutants there.
Like the whole point of that is they're charging them more because they are mutant. The same way the doctor didn't want to deliver the baby because they were mutants. Like it's not just a little quirk of like living on the island. It's like purposeful.
They ain't got a poison ivy. On the whole island.
Or an Adam Eve.
Somebody to make some trees grow. Somebody
manipulate matter of fact.
None of the Morlocks.
You know what? In a previous episode of X-Men, the original show, there is a time where Scott goes back to visit a guy that kind of raised him until he was the guy that ran the orphanage before Scott went to go live at Xavier's mansion. He goes back to visit him, and in this town, this little gang of evil mutants have kind of taken over and run things. There was a lady there that could do the whole poison ivy bit. So all they got to do is go to the town, find her, and she can take a couple of seeds and she can make it work. They can do all the produce they need.
Imagine wanting to fight against a person who literally can grow food from air. Like why would you not want that person
as a
happy
friend?
And
America?
Right, like you can do what now? You can walk through walls and just grab stuff and walk. So if I told we could go to the bank, see, I straight villainy. I'm terrible. I never think about like the happy things I could do.
I promise
it's always.
You're more the boys.
It's because that's more realistic. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I like to think that the moral compass.
I would probably be Homelander. Yeah. No, I would just slap your head off your body. Don't talk to me crazy.
That's good to know, Brandy. Thanks.
Who gonna stop you? That's the thing. Who gonna stop it? So I think it's realistic, it's believable, and for that reason, it's we like to think that we would be more upstanding, but the truth of the matter is a lot of us would. I'm not gonna sit here in front like I would. No, I would absolutely. I would probably have moments of heroism. I would try to balance out all of the evil. I would
definitely be an anti-hero, but
I ain't joining no team.
I don't want to be in the
right. Like I'm doing.
I ain't joining no team with human sailors.
I'm gonna do my own thing. Like I promise.
I'm Omni-Man out this motherfucker.
If I feel like it, I'm gonna jump out there. If not, what's
we're going out on
if
patrol.
It's a big enough threat, I will put myself in the situation to help y'all. But please don't call me because I'll be at Dragon Garden all of the gold that I've stolen from Fort Knox. Please don't call me otherwise.
So we will get back together and I cannot wait. Join us in the Facebook group where we will be talking all of the spoiler thread conversations starting on. Well, it will probably be up by the time you see this video. So be sure to click that QR code right there in the corner. You can find us everywhere. We have Grown A Geeks. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell. Get notified every time we have piping hot content ready for you. If no one has anything else, I want to thank the panel for joining me this afternoon as we got to talk about X-Men 97. But for the marvelous Miss Kennedy, insert cool nickname, Big Cash. From the group home, JPNT 17, and I wasn't ready. We're Grown A Geeks, and we are out of here.